You're listening to the Biz Babes with Soul podcast with your host, Melody Spencer, a show where female entrepreneurs get radically honest about life and business. Today's episode is sponsored by Swiftly Social Digital Marketing. Swiftly Social helps people create a heart-centered digital marketing and Facebook ads strategy that gets you results. For a free video tutorial on how to grow your Facebook following by 10,000 or more, visit swiftlysocial.com.
Hey guys, welcome to the Biz Babes with Soul podcast. I'm your host, Melody Spencer, and I'm so excited to have Stacy Brookman here today. So Stacy is also a fellow podcaster, and she is also an amazing resilience and life storytelling expert, which I'm so excited to talk about that with her because that sounds just so cool to me. So welcome, Stacy, to the show.
Well, hi, Melody. Thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, so tell everybody that doesn't know you a little bit more about you and what you do.
Well, sure. Like you said, I am a resilience and life storytelling expert. I produce the Real Life Resilience podcast. But really the biggest thing that I do is I help smart, outwardly confident women who secretly have low self-esteem issues because they've been in an emotionally abusive partnership. I help them take back control and begin to develop the resilience they need to be themselves again. A lot of times when you're in a tough relationship, it might be a tough relationship. You might not really think of it as emotionally abusive. But if you've been in a tough relationship, you kind of lose yourself, you lose your resilience, you're kind of beaten down. And I help these women, whether they're in or getting out of or already out of those relationships, find joy, be resilient, and live just in a phenomenal life after that. Because there is life on the other side, and there is joyous life on the other side. So I help them find that.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So what has been your journey to get to where you are? So I'm guessing you have a story that goes along with that?
I do. I have a tough life story. Yes, I was married to a sociopath. I don't, like a lot of people say, oh, Trump is a sociopath or this or that or whatever. He was a true clinical diagnosed sociopath.
Wow.
And I didn't even know that word until I started getting a divorce from him. And I realized how extremely dangerous he was. Just few short examples. When we were separated, when I was out of the house, he came in, he snuck into my house, cut the wires on our heater, and called Child Protective Services and said I wasn't providing heat. This was in Rochester, New York, in the middle of winter, instead of providing heat for the kids. He sabotaged the house we were trying to sell, to get out of the house and get rid of it. Sabotaged it when we had a contract, so we lost the contract. He tried to get me fired from my job. They are very, very, very manipulative and extremely dangerous when you're trying to get away from them. They're emotionally damaging when you are with them. And it was tough. When I was in that tough time, it had been 10 very tough years. And I was like, I'm going to stick it out. I'm strong. I can handle this. And for women out there, don't do that. You're not doing yourselves any favor. You are not being strong by staying. You're being strong by getting out. But anyway, when you're under that much chronic stress and always trying to keep the wheels on the bus, he couldn't keep a job. Every 6 months he was fired or just walked out. I was trying to raise my 2 girls. I'm like, I've got to have some sort of outlet that is not divorce, that is not craziness. And so I took a memoir and writing class, and I would start writing the crazy things that happened to me that week. Part of it was my attorney said, write down the things that's happening, because some of the things that they do is called gaslighting. They make you think you're crazy. They make you think, oh, you didn't say that, or yes, you did say that when you know you didn't. And then you're kind of questioning yourself. We can get into that later if you want. But I was I needed that outlet. And so I was writing my stories, and I brought them every Friday, and we all read our stories out loud. And when I read my stories, they would laugh, they would cry, they would, it was evoking emotion in my, fellow class participants. And they loved my stories so much, they gave me a scholarship to come back the next semester.
Wow.
But what I realized when I was writing these out and being validated by other people is that I felt so much calmer. I felt so much more in charge. I felt so much more clarity with what was happening to me. I discovered my life theme, which I didn't care for. I discovered, like, okay, here's my part I've played in it by accepting his behavior. And I realized naturally the benefits of writing your life stories. So I started doing some research outside of that. And there is a whole body of research around writing to heal, writing your life stories, writing the tough things that have happened to you in order to recover from them. Because what I found out is that traumatic memories are stored in a different part of your brain than regular memories. They are very sharp. They hide from you. And then when you're triggered, like, for instance, someone says, well, why did you do that? And then you're like instantly triggered. Or you hear music, or you smell a certain smell. Then those memories come flooding back. So what happens when you write out your tough stuff, although you're kind of reliving it and you're getting into the details, you find words and synonyms and verbs and things that were at what happened to you, rather than them rolling around in your head. Mm-hmm. And then those memories are put in the place where regular memories are, and they can fade. So it's incredibly helpful and healthy to write your life about your life in a certain way. And so that's what I teach people to do. I'm like, I've got to tell everybody about this. This is so awesome. Even if you're not a writer, it works. And so then I started my website. I started teaching at the community college. I started my podcast, and I just love doing that so much. It's just really, really fun.
That's amazing.
So yeah, that's how I came into it. I help women to do that.
So what led you to turn this into a business? Like, so you went from, hey, I love writing, to I'm going to make money doing this.
Well, it has been a side passion of mine, but, I've worked in the corporate world, and I'm like, what if I could help women and make money for myself? What if, is that unethical? No, I don't think it is. It's not. And I know that this message needs to get out, and I know I can help far more people by getting that word out. And if I could do that full time, then I think that would be fabulous. I think I would reach far, far more people. And so that's what I'm doing.
That's amazing. So what do you feel like has been your biggest challenge as an entrepreneur, and as like learning to write your story and share that? Has it been really scary? And what does that look like for you?
Writing my story, once I did it in my class, it wasn't scary. There are some people who can't, I write it, sometimes it's more easy, and sometimes it's the real raw stuff. For instance, the inciting incident, when you're in writing in your story, you're like, what is the inciting incident? The inciting incident for me was when my youngest daughter wanted to get on our family computer. So I undid the password for her. She was 6 or 7 years old. And up popped my husband's email, and he had a Craigslist confirmation. He was advertising himself on Craigslist as a sex toy for couples. And wow. I'm like, I'm done. That's it. I'm not taking this anymore. Wow. I did my kids to emulate. Think that this was a normal, I didn't get out for myself. I got out because it broke my heart to think that my kids would repeat the same type of relationship that I had. Mm-hmm. And they do. Kids will do that. And I did not want that for them. I wanted a better life for them. And so that was my inciting incident. And I'm sorry, I lost my place. What was your original question?
That's fine. What has been like your biggest challenge and your biggest fear?
Yeah. So it's not necessarily sharing my story because now I feel comfortable sharing. Once you kind of do that and you do it in a safe place, like a writing group or with friends who you really know have your back, once you share that in a safe place, then you get bolder and you start to discover really yourself and who you are and start to build up your support system. So probably the biggest thing that I have had to overcome is the technology part.
Yeah.
I'm like, I need to automate and if I can farm it out, I will. I know a lot of people say when you're first starting a business, you need to do everything just so you know. And I agree to some extent, but it took me more than 2 years to figure out how to videotape myself with the lighting, the sound, and everything, and the recording all working right. I am not kidding. And I know other people can, just take your phone and do it. But for, the videos that I do for my courses and my webinar, all kinds of my summit that I'm coming up, it just took me that long. And I'm not ancient, I'm not technology stupid, but it's just like, along with the email sequence and this and everything else. So I would say that's the toughest part. And it still remains. I mean, there's still new things to learn.
No, I totally agree. That's part of what I do for my clients is I say, hey, let me take this off your shoulders because that's not what you love doing. And it's just taking up brain space that you need to use to focus on what you're good at.
Exactly.
I really think everybody has a zone of genius, and techie things may not be your zone of genius, and that's okay. That doesn't make you lesser of a person.
Right.
Yeah.
And if it's blocking you, if for a month or two and you're not able to get past that milestone, then farm it out. Find somebody to do it, or do minimum viable product. Do your minimum thing. Because I did not launch my podcast for a long time. I did not launch my course for a long time, but I could have done just the bare minimum just to test out the waters, or even if it wasn't beautiful like you see on infomercials or anything like that. Just get it out because you're going to have that learning curve anyway. Might as well get it out and start that learning curve quickly.
Yeah, that's so true. So was it just the tech that was holding you back, or was it just the fear of people seeing it, or what was that for you?
I think part of it was that I'm a big follower of Chalene Johnson. I'm a lifer. I love Chalene Johnson, and I wanted to emulate her, and I wanted her perfectly white videos and perfect makeup and hair and perfect everything. And of course, she has a huge tribe behind her that helps her do that.
Yeah.
But I just couldn't figure it out. And I would attempt every couple of weeks to video and watch YouTube, and I bought all kinds of equipment. But you know what? Just get started, because I didn't get started. I've had some lighting systems for 2 years, actually 2.5, maybe even 3 years, that I had not used until recently, until this year, 2018. And so now I'm using it because I've figured it out. Actually, I went to a meetup group in my city, and I saw it was on video production. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go there. I made more progress going twice to that meetup than I did in the previous 2 years.
Yeah, I've found sometimes the greatest thing you can do is just ask for help. Just be like, hey, does anybody know how to do this? I'm confused on this. Because most people are helpful and nice, and they want to give advice, or some people they'll do it for free.
Right, exactly. Or find somebody else just starting out. You can use your superpowers to help them, and they can use their superpowers to help you.
So ladies listening, don't let these little things keep you from doing things. Like even for me, I am trying to launch a new program, and I was switching landing page providers, and my payment wasn't working correctly. And I was like, I can't get these buttons to work. And I almost just scrapped the whole thing because I couldn't get one little thing to work. And I was like, nope, I'm just going to promote it and just say, if you want it, I'll send you an invoice manually until I figure that out.
Yeah.
Don't let
And
stupid
take
things
baby
hold you back.
steps.
Yeah.
Take baby steps. As long as every day you're taking one little baby step, don't beat yourself up over not accomplishing the things you had planned out that week. If you are moving forward, even incrementally, you're doing great. Give yourself a pat on the back.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit more about your courses and all that you're doing, the ways people can work with you.
Yeah, so I'm at stacybrookman.com, and that's STACY, brookman.com. And so I have some courses that are, I have a webinar, the 4 simple proven methods to writing the first chapter of your story in just 7 days. So if you go on that webinar, you will find that in 7 days, you'll have the first chapter. And that's whether you want to write a book or not. That's just to get you started writing. And you'll find out, even if you don't like writing, this is not your, 8th grade English course. No, this is messy. It's okay to be messy. And so I jumpstart people with that. I have a 1-day course. It's real simple. It's only $15. And it's the art of writing a story you never want to publish. And that's about trauma and writing about the trauma that you've experienced in your lives, because pretty much none of us escape childhood without some sort of trauma.
Yeah.
It affects what we do as adults. And we, that's how we get into trauma as adults is because we are doing things that we learned in childhood. So that's just $15. But I am most excited about my upcoming summit, when that's at emotionalabusesummit.com. And that is where I am interviewing over 40 experts on emotional abuse, recovery, and resilience. So if you know of somebody who has ever been in a tough relationship, or you're in a tough relationship, or have been in the past, you're going to want to get in on this. It's free for September 1st through the 12th. And then you can also purchase an all-access pass. But I dive deep into what is emotional abuse. How do you know if you have been in an emotionally abusive relationship? What is the science of happiness? How do you build your support system? What is the science of resilience? How do you go to court with somebody who's an abuser? Just the gamut from soup to nuts. And those have been the most fascinating interviews. I have learned a lot, even over the last couple months interviewing these folks. And it is just fascinating. And so I would say take advantage of that. That's at emotionalabusesummit.com.
That's great.
And also on social media too.
I think that's definitely needed, especially right now with all the chatter about like the Me Too movement. I feel like that is
right.
so needed. And yeah. And I love summits too. I think summits are an amazing way to really connect with many experts. So
right.
That's exciting that you're doing that. And I'm going to be cheering you on from the sidelines, because I think that's going to be an amazing resource for other women, for sure.
Thank you. Well, I just interviewed someone, 2 days ago. I interviewed 2 women on self-compassion and becoming a self-compassionate person. I think a lot of our internal problems and our external problems, like I never felt really comfortable in my own skin. I always felt, even though I was a professional woman and, I would get job promotions, I just never felt really comfortable. And part of it is because I was not self-compassionate to all the things that had happened, or, I wasn't accepting, hey, I can be good at something and I can get, accolades from people, and that's okay. And I wasn't comfortable with that. But I love that. But there's also one on music to grieve to, why listening to sad music can make you feel better. I've got an expert on that, because sometimes when things are not going right in our lives, I don't know if you've ever turned on the radio and just, or wish that same song would come on over and over and over again. There's kind of a reason for that in our brains. And so, I've just kind of now considered interviewing my superpower. I love interviewing people and finding their superpowers and digging deep with them. And so it's been really fun.
No, I completely agree. I went to a workshop a few weeks ago with my business coach, and she was asking us what she thought our mission was in life.
Mm-hmm.
And I really felt like my mission was to bear witness to women's stories, to like hear their stories, let them speak things and say their truth. Because a lot of times we're not allowed to say our truth. We're not allowed to share our stories. We have to kind of mold ourselves to be whatever we think the person beside us thinks we are. So
yes, so true.
Yeah, so I totally get that. I think we're on the same wavelength.
Yeah. And it's so good. I'm glad you made the choice to do that, because so many of us just hold back, and you're afraid of what other people will say. And, that's what I love, helping people figure out, what, I'm okay if I say that. I'm okay if other people don't like what I'm doing. I'm okay with it. And, just kind of, like you said, share their story and own their story.
Yeah.
Until they discover what their story is, they can't share it out. They can't own it.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
Absolutely. Well, before we close up this interview, do you have one piece of advice for a woman listening who, wants to get started in business or just wants a little encouragement to do something new? What would you say to her?
I would say the world needs your voice. The world needs what you have to offer. So get started.
I love that.
I would say, even if it's little itty bitty baby steps, get started.
Yeah.
Now, don't wait 2 years from now. 2 years from now, your future self is going to either thank you or not thank you for what you're doing today. So get started so your future self can thank you for it.
That's so true. Well, it's been so lovely to chat with you, Stacy. Thank you again for being on the show.
Yeah, Melody, thanks for inviting me, and I'm really excited about your next episodes and to see all that you're going to do this year.
Yeah. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed. Until next time, bye. Thank you for joining me for the Biz Babes with Soul podcast. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. To learn more about me, Melody Spencer, and the show, please visit swiftlysocial.com.